welcome John Gray, the author of the Mars Venus relationship book series. You're so world famous for what you're doing, and I'm feeling very, very, grateful for all your wisdom you share with the world, and particularly to us coaches who, aim to help one relationship at a time to make the world a better place. And today I want to speak with you about the world of cheating and third-party relationships. Very recently, there came a documentary out on Netflix. I don't know whether you have heard about it or even seen it.
No, I
Ashley
haven't seen it.
Madison. You have seen it?
No, what's it called?
It's called Ashley Madison. It's about this phenomena of this amazing website that for many years allowed married people to sign up and link with each other and having, outside marital affairs. And this documentary came out around 2.5 months ago. And when I watched it, I had so many questions to ask you, because I see there is not just the phenomena of people seeking these relationships, but also the whole hidden agenda of many, many, many people being exposed. 2017, when the whole thing busted, many names of people who were members were exposed, and suicides happened, and people were breaking up much later than the crisis was on, because names got public. So I want to ask now, let's start really with the hidden signals of what's going on for people who seek that. So what is, if I'm in a relationship and I think, could this be my husband? Could this be my wife? What would be the hidden signals for a partner to think that this could be in my life,
Yeah.
somebody cheating?
The signal is simply that a man is not having feeling reciprocity in terms of the sex life. He wants sex, she's not in the mood. He wants sex, she's not in the mood. Sometimes she's in the mood, sometimes she's not. Although what I found as being a counselor of sex, I teach relationship skills, I do therapy, I do wellness counseling, I do all these things. But one of the things is sex counseling. That's my PhDs in that. And the dynamic in a relationship quite often before 40 years old is many, many times a man is wanting to have sex with his wife and she's not in the mood. And he wants to have sex with his wife and she's not in the mood. The most vulnerable thing a man can do is ask for sex. Okay, want to have sex. That's where he has no defenses. For a woman to understand this, and she can't understand it, because a woman basically doesn't want sex unless her basic needs for emotional support, we'll put it that way. When a woman receives emotional support, that's affection, that's warmth, that's caring, that's communication, that's eagerness to please from a man's point of view, happy man who's happy to be of service to her, selflessness. These are all different qualities of what men have to be and learn to do, which I teach them to do, which provides a level of depth where a woman can share and be feminine. What's happening today is women are just lost touch with femininity. A recent research study came out that said 50% of women at 50 years old today will be single without children. A woman who doesn't have children at 50 is going to have a real tough time. And because she needs extra stimulation to produce estrogen. Estrogen is not as easily produced after menopause or premenopause. And when you're single, you don't make estrogen as well so much. When you're really young, you do, because you get so much attention because you're a young woman and you feel free, you haven't been jaded by men or whatever. So the estrogen is required for well-being for her. And as you get older, having a partner who you feel safe with, you're married to, they're committed to you, they're not going to leave you, that is safety, and that helps produce estrogen. Having children, your children will always love you. See, that people won't always love you. Business, they won't always love you. Business is business. So if your relationships are just transactional, which is important in life, we want to have good transactional win-win relationships. But like my publisher, if my books don't sell, they don't call me up anymore. That's a simple thing. That's just business is business. It's not personal. So when your life is primarily about making money and business, um, if you get through menopause, it's a bad situation for you. See, what you see is I'm reflecting on this new statistic, which is the prediction based upon the trend which happening now, which is women at the age of 50 will be half will be without children and without a partner. And that can be corrected if women can connect to their female side. So many women say, I don't care about having children. I don't want to have children. It's too expensive to have children. You'll find a lot of reasons not to have children. And first of all, let me say, I'm not saying every woman should not have children. Uh, it's like, I'm basically a fit human being. Okay. I have a healthy BMI. I don't have a big belly. I'm not overweight. So I could give the whole talk. If you're overweight, you're going to die sooner. That's true. Okay. You're going to die a horrible death if you continue to not take care of your body. It's just terrible. So, but I'm also saying the solution is within our range. Is that learn how to lose weight, for example, is something you can do. Nobody talks about that. I have one client who basically became very, very overweight, and her doctor told her that she's going to get cancer, just like her mother, who was overweight, who had cancer. And that lowers the immune system, just known. Also diabetes. He said these are things that are realities today. So the doctor told her, you need to lose weight. Well, she told me in a session, my whole life I've been buying into this whole thing of doesn't matter your body type, what your body looks like. You have self-esteem. I deserve to be loved just who I am. I don't have to look like a model, and you don't have to look like a model, but you have to be healthy. If you want to be attractive and feel good about yourself, and you don't feel good about yourself if you're not healthy. But she was practicing, I'm feeling really good about myself. I can be good, and just have my extra weight, and that's fine because I enjoy my food. And her doctor told her, look, you have to eat less food. You're going to have the same sickness as your mother had. This is not healthy. So we've gone too far into the self-esteem, which is, I love myself no matter what. Oh, I don't need to be with a man no matter what. I can do it all myself. All of those things, women who behave like I can do it all myself, and they don't have someone to depend on, their husband, and maybe their husband's not dependable. I get that, but I look at two sides of this, which is I teach women how to communicate with a man so he is dependable. You bring out the best in him, or you bring out the worst in him. From the point of view of men who say, oh, women, they just want your money. They don't care about you. They don't love you. If you don't have the money, they take it away. There's a lot of jaded men out there. But I just say, yeah, you don't know the skills. Your wife is a wonderful human being, but you don't know how to bring out the best in her. You bring out the worst in her. So, I'm a wonderful person and healthy, but if suddenly somebody poisons me, I can't be healthy. Or let's say I choose to have poison, which is what people who have health problems, they're eating poison all day. The knowledge is there. So my specialty is with relationship. And, when we talk about, since it comes up, which is the whole weight gain thing that you see, particularly in Americans. I mean, everywhere you look, just go to an airport and count the number of people who are obese that come off the airplane. What are they? It's 1 out of 2 people. This are massively overweight or obese. These are crazy statistics. It means that they're not going to be happy. It means they're not happy. It means that they're stressed. It means that they're going to have all kinds of medical sicknesses. So, and yet we're over here with this body positivity, which is, oh, you're all lovable. Everybody deserves to be loved. Yeah, you deserve to be loved, but you have to be you have to be lovable. It's a concept, yes, but we have to be ourselves. And I have tremendous compassion for people. They're eating junk food, which puts on weight. If I eat crappy ice cream, any kind of ice cream you buy in a package, for me, with a nice flat belly, I will gain 2 pounds with 1 pound of ice cream. It has an effect of staying in your body and producing fat. So I have to have the discipline of not eating ice cream because the ice cream today is toxic to our bodies. If you make homemade ice cream, it's different. Get some raw milk and get your little machine and just put the eggs in, put the basic things in. But they put all kinds of stuff in. So we just have to go look at reality today. So reality is that women aren't feeling enough estrogen. Okay. They're too stressed. Research has shown that women who work, they have a job and they're working in the workplace on average. Remember, there's exceptions to everything. Somebody can object and say, oh, that's not me. Okay, that's not you. But just hear the statistics. We're talking about a world of problems here. This research showed that women who work when they're in the workplace, they measure stress levels. Their stress levels are twice as high as men's. Now you can find, well, that's because men don't treat me well, and that's because this, okay, fine. But I'm just saying the reality of the situation is women have twice as much stress as men in the workplace. And when they come home, whether they're married or not, their stress levels double the stress. Why? Because even if you don't have children, you want to have a beautiful home. You want to have a social life. You need, as a woman, to have a social life. Men don't. Men have one or two friends, that's plenty. Women need many sources of support in their life to produce estrogen, because somebody can't be here today, somebody can be here tomorrow. She needs a variety of people, 10 people at least, that she can depend on. If I'm moving, they'll come help me. If we have a sickness, somebody's going to come send food to the house. Somebody I need to talk to is available to me. Now, you can have replacements for this, certainly. You can have therapists and coaches and all that. That's really important as well. You can pay for it. You're a working woman, you can pay for it. But you also have to have a life that stimulates estrogen. Women cannot want sex and enjoy sex fully if their estrogen levels are not maybe 20 times higher than a man's. Okay, we can map out a woman's desire for sex occurs when her estrogen levels go up. Unless there's another type of woman who's way on her male side, and then when she has sex, she has her climax from clitoral stimulation. She doesn't know what a vaginal orgasm is. So she stimulates through the clitoris. When you stimulate to the clitoris, you can have a spasm. Okay, that spasm they will call a climax, or they think that's an orgasm. That's not an orgasm. That's a climax. They're two different things. Talk to a woman who can be with her husband. Her husband puts the penis in the vagina, and that gives her an orgasm after they correctly prepare for it. Everything is done properly, enlightened sexuality. It's no longer just about sex. It's not about pleasure. It's about feeling pleasure so that you can feel more. When you can feel more, then you can express love to each other. Pillow talk, expressing the love. Most couples don't even talk. All woman's interested for some women is just stimulate my clitoris more and more and more, intensifying, trying to have a climax. And then it feels really good. Yes, taking cocaine feels really good. That's all it is. It's just taking a drug. The clitoris does not make estrogen. The clitoris stimulates testosterone. Women who are on their male side already have too much testosterone compared to their estrogen. That's why they're stressed. When you look at the research that says stress levels are twice as high for women, what is happening? Well, measure their hormone levels, and you'll see that women are making way more testosterone in the work world. Why is that? Because the work world is based upon risk and danger. If you don't do your job, you lose it. If you don't succeed, you fail. It's all about risk and fail. There's no unconditional aspect of it. It's business is business. If you slack off, you don't get the promotion. If you don't get up and get there, you lose your job. And then when you're making decisions, workplace is always decisions that affect your survival. When you make a decision to affect survival, you're in a state of fight or flight, a moderate state. Well, for a man in that moderate state of fight or flight, it will raise his testosterone. When testosterone goes up for men, stress levels go down. For a woman, when testosterone goes up, if she doesn't have plenty of estrogen, her stress level will go up. That helps to explain why women on a biological level, when they're having to make decisions, if they don't feel support, if they don't have the support to make those decisions, then they will experience higher levels of stress. It's not love. The workplace is not love. But women are the embodiments of love and wisdom. Women have the wisdom built into them when their estrogen goes up that I'm not going to have sex with somebody unless I feel loved. So you have some women that don't have that wisdom at all. And so they're out there having sex just like men have sex without love. Well, it's natural for men to do that because they don't have the wisdom that women have. You have to realize we have greater strengths. And women, one of the strengths women have is the recognition that without love, the world will die. And we're seeing it decaying right now. All of the dissatisfaction in marriages, the reason why you have this Ashley Madison, men cheating on their wives. That's just dysfunction. And it's all dysfunction because women, I'll look at the female side of it, I'll look at the male side of it. The males do not know how to awaken a woman's sexuality so that she enjoys sex as much as him. And we're not talking clitoral stimulation. We're talking vaginal penetration, where vaginal penetration is a different type. It's a real orgasm. It's an emotional surrendering. It's a letting go. It's a union. It's a oneness. It involves increasing trust, feeling safe. And there's ways of having sex, which ensures that you can bring her to that place. But before that, because women are so on their male side, women are so on their male side that they can't access the high estrogen levels. And so what I'm teaching, there's hope here. I'm not saying, this upsets people because they think I'm saying, okay, women, you shouldn't be in the work world. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that, oh, women, you should always want to have sex. That's the goal, is the outcome we want is for a woman to want sex as much as her partner, generally speaking, so he doesn't feel rejected. He needs to feel she wants to have sex like he wants to have sex. Just like if she needs help, she wants to feel that he's happy to help. See, it's a reciprocity of a mutual supportive relationship. People don't know how to do it today. As we look at another study that came out besides the one about educated women, it was the more educated a woman is, the more the greater the possibility that she will remain childless or divorced and single for the rest of her life after 50. This is statistics. This is what's going on. And why not? Because if you go to a university, you've already been educated that men and women are the same. And you should expect your husband to treat you the way you treat other people. No, you expect your husband to learn how to treat a woman because nobody ever taught him. Why did nobody teach him? Well, they don't teach it in universities, that's for sure. They teach the opposite, to think that men and women are the same. And why do so many men not know how to have a relationship with a woman? Why women don't know how to have a relationship with a man? They never had a mentor. 60% of boys and girls in our world, in the Western world, grow up without a father in the home. You have no father in the home. How's a girl supposed to trust a guy, understand how guys are different, understand that they're not like women? When they react a certain way, it doesn't mean they don't love you, and to feel that I can depend on him. You need to have a whole lifetime of childhood seeing your mother successfully depending on a man to feel like, oh, I could really depend on a man. So women don't feel I can depend on a man. The other side of this is men feel like there's no way I can make a woman happy. Do you think his mother was happy all the time? In part of the time, if the father isn't there? It takes two people, not a village. It takes two people, a man and a woman, who make the baby to raise the baby in a culture that can support them in that process. But it takes a man and a woman. Without a father and a mother, that child's going to be missing something their whole life. Fortunately, with education, we can heal this condition. That's what I'm teaching. If you begin to understand, for a woman that's never seen how amazing men can be, how you have the power to bring that out of any man. And for the men who don't know how amazing they can be because they didn't see their fathers doing it, they just have this culture that teaches men the wrong stuff. A little example, this is a 400-page book with all the details. So I hate to even give specific examples because people just think, well, that's only one thing. No, there's so many examples of what I'm talking about. But here's one, which is, when I grew up, I never, ever saw my father get angry with my mother. It was just not manly. It had no dignity. If you got angry, you would stop talking and become quiet. That's all. Now people, oh, you don't love your partner. How dare you become quiet? How dare you take a time out? You should talk everything through. Like that's some answer. Well, look at the results that we get from that. And then you have my book, which sometimes is misleading, where I explain to men, you need to listen. You need to create a space. Because when women can talk about what's going on inside of them, their estrogen goes up. If their estrogen goes up, then she's going to want to have sex with you. So this is more about sex today because we're talking about Ashley Madison, why men want to stray from their partner. Because they're not having orgasms. Their partners are not having orgasms. Partners are not looking forward to sex. Their partners are doing sex as an obligation. Now, obligation to have sex has been part of our history, which is why it was always called the romantic stage, is the honeymoon stage. It's very temporary. And then after that, men had sex just for themselves, and their wives would be obligated to do it. Now, that's more the more recent past, the obligation thing. The good wife will have sex when their husband wants it, as opposed to the good wife today wants to have sex as much as her husband wants to have sex. And you can't have that. I don't say you should just fabricate that. No, you have to have the hormones to do it. And to get the hormones to do it, you have to have the communication skills that will generate it. And without my explaining all those skills, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So don't feel like you should know, anybody listening. But we got this dynamic. But if you go back further now, when I go into Africa and I go into the more primitive cultures in Africa or the primitive cultures in South America and the Amazon, women are all orgasmic. They're like amazing because their whole day is not doing male things. When you do what we traditionally know as male things, you make male hormones. When you do things that are traditionally female things, raise children, make dinner, clean up the home, wash the clothes, garden in the garden, work in the fields. You know, this is the ancient past. Those women all come home and they want to have sex and they enjoy it because those activities, they're routine activities. They're not dangerous activities. Routine means you don't have to make any decisions. Remember, whenever you have to make decisions, you feel pressure. And today's women all feel pressure. What woman doesn't feel the pressure? Not enough time. I mean, certainly there's some. I'm just saying it's so common. Not enough time, not enough love, not enough attention, not enough affection. Everything in their mind goes into not enough when you don't have enough estrogen. Not enough estrogen tilts the brain towards not enough. Now, when you give a message to a man, not enough, whatever it is, that just knocks his testosterone down. What raises testosterone in a man is feeling, I'm enough, I'm successful, I can do, I'm your can-do guy, I'm the guy you can rely on, I'm the guy that you're in love with, I'm the guy you feel happy to be with. You know, these are the messages that men need to stay turned on to their partners. Now we think about what was the invention of marriage and what's the point of it besides creating safety for raising children. We're talking about why men cheat, why men have affairs, and also today why women cheat too. There's actual research showing that women aren't going to go to Ashley Madison. They don't need.
They don't need it. I wanted to actually mention that because there's a significant amount of women registered as well on these pages. So what's the difference? So why would women do it in comparison to men?
A lot of the women are fake, just so you know. I don't know if they shed that in the thing, but they have to have lots of women. It's fake so that the men will do it. So there was a lot of fake women on that. But the reality is, so there's way more men actually on Ashley Madison than women. But women don't have to go to an app for that. All the women has to go somewhere, look at a guy in a certain way, and he'll go with her. You know, we're easy. We want to have sex. A young man wants to have sex with whoever. He has no discernment. He has no maturity. Women are blessed with estrogen as young people. They have the maturity to go, I don't want to just bare my soul and be naked with somebody who's going to not talk to me the next day, who's not going to care about me, who's not committed to me. And look at the evidence of that, which is, although it seems so obvious to me, back in the 90s, one of the number one books was Why He Doesn't Call Back. You know, what's the big deal? Men didn't write books saying, why didn't she call me back? We had sex. She didn't call me back. He don't want to see her again. And why doesn't he want to see her again? Because he just wanted sex. Sex, sex, sex. Men's biology needs sex. That's why if a man gets a divorce, he's already having sex within months. Okay, he's having sex. He's married within 3 years statistically. That's because we need sex just like women need love. But the higher truth is through sex, if a man commits to a woman and has sex with her, then he begins to experience what real love is. Women can feel love for their children, for nature, for their friends, not so much for themselves, but they can feel that love because they have estrogen. Men don't have that much estrogen. It's by connecting with a woman. Actually, when a man has an erection, he's having a surge of estrogen. It's just that he has much, much higher testosterone, and then his estrogen has to go up, which is why he gets an erection when he's connecting with a woman. Now, here's another thing, which is, you know, this whole polyamory and mistresses and all this stuff, it only degenerates a society. And cheating on Ashley Madison, it's an impulse to, it's like a man who drinks, it feels good to drink, but you can drink too much. You should be drinking just with your wife, not with other people. Say that's too much. But why is it too much? Now we can understand why monogamy is the highest blessing for people, and marriage is what preserves that. So first of all, we know statistically, married couples live the longest and are the healthiest. And then people say to me, well, those must be the people who are happy in their marriage. No, nobody's happy in their marriage all the time. And if they are, they're fooling themselves. And nobody who's single is happy all the time. And if they think they are, they're fooling themselves. We are experts as human beings of denying what we feel with our addictions, whether that be eating too much, which is why we're all obese, would it be drinking too much while we have so much alcoholism and we have so many drug addictions? All of our addictions is a tendency to find some stimulation to avoid feeling what we truly feel. So we're a stressed society. And it's because biologically, there is a because. Whenever a man's stress level goes up, his testosterone is low, his estrogen is high. A man's testosterone needs to be 10 times higher than a woman. A woman's estrogen level needs to be 10 times higher than a man's. Whenever a woman is stressed, her estrogen is low, her testosterone is high. There's always subtleties with this because a woman's hormones are changing every day and need to change every day. After ovulation, a woman still needs to make estrogen, but she needs to make more progesterone. But if she's making more testosterone, she doesn't make progesterone. What makes progesterone? Obvious question. Nobody knows this stuff, but this is my research. This is what I know. And I have scientific studies to back up most of it. Progesterone is whenever a woman is doing something she likes to do, and there's no stress. She likes to do it. It's routine. She enjoys it. It's no pressure. Whenever you like doing something. Now, for some women, that's social bonding. So there's research that shows social bonding, meaning no business, social bonding will lower her stress levels because it will produce social bonding produces progesterone. And after ovulation, women need to make more progesterone than estrogen. So ironically and confusing, they call that estrogen dominance rather than just saying it's progesterone deficiency. And then understand progesterone deficiency occurs when a woman is doing what she has to do rather than what she enjoys or likes to do. So half the month, she needs to make sure she's doing things she likes to do. And from her period up to ovulation, she needs to be doing things that particularly she's depending on others for help and support. Today's modern woman says, what do I need a man for? I don't need help. I can do it myself. And whenever you just push a man's way of help, sometimes men will offer to do stuff and she'll say, no, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it is becoming masculine. We can do it, or you can do it for me. You can do it for me is major estrogen. We can do it is major progesterone, social bonding. Now, for some women who are not extrovert, if they're introvert, then that progesterone gets produced when they take time for themselves doing what they love to do. That could be baths, that could be, maybe she likes exercise, maybe she likes gardening, wherever that might be. So we don't have any education on this stuff. This is completely out of everybody's minds. And when I speak at the universities, although I've been kicked out of Harvard and kicked out of Stanford, where they used to love me back in the 90s, I'm kicked out. And why am I kicked out? Because with a few well-known people that explains men and women are different. And yet in the medical field, we all know men and women are different. Women's heart attack symptoms are different. Their uterus, their vaginal, making birth. You need specialties for that. OB1, this is women's doctors, men's doctors, completely different conditions. And then suddenly you've got all these experts saying, oh, we're just the same. Yes, we should all talk about our feelings. Yes, men, just talk about your feelings. If you're angry, tell your partner you're upset. If you want to cry, cry. And they say, oh, poor men, they're all messed up. They're not messed up. But poor men, they're all messed up because they didn't get to cry as little children. Well, it could be a little trauma. If you're a child, you do have the estrogen levels of a little girl, so you will have more emotions in that way. So yeah, that would be a little trauma. That's a little trauma. What's the big trauma? Unhappy mother, unhappy father, divorce. That's why men are messed up today. We don't have any role models of healthy parents and staying together, loving each other. And now it's even worse. because the world has dramatically changed, and where women are way on their male side. So nobody gets an example of what a happy, beautiful woman can be. Women don't even know they're beautiful. Why? They're so hard on their bodies. They want to cover their faces with masks and makeup and everything that change their faces, change their bodies. They hate their bodies. And then they walk around, oh, I love my body the way it is. No, you don't. And why don't you? Because you don't have a man adoring your body, and a man can't adore your body unless you're being feminine. When you're being feminine, you look and other people see your femininity. It's energy that comes to you. When a woman is vulnerable, a man's heart opens so beautifully. You're the most beautiful being in the world is what we truly feel in that moment. Now, maybe outside in the world, where our hearts aren't open, and now we have all this demonstration of women wanting to have sex with us. You go on Ashley and Madison, or just go online. I mean, it's still there. Ashley Madison is nothing compared to the porn industry today. That was peanuts. That's men having a few affairs here and there, whatever, cheating on their wives. Every day, men are cheating on their wives, looking at porn. They're having sex with themselves and with these fake women. It's all living in a delusion. Those women don't want to make love to them. So different hormones get produced. Now we have to have compassion for men, because it's if somebody feeds you addiction, gives you a drug, and you didn't even, you just happen to take it. Somebody says, oh, this is good. You do it. You're addicted. Your brain says, I have to have that. It's very funny. I was give a little example of that. I'm going to back off from saying so much and just got to tell stories that people can remember. But I read a book saying that if you give up coffee, you'll have more dreams. And I like dreams. I like in my sleep to have my beautiful dreams. So I gave up coffee for 2 or 3 years, and I have beautiful dreams. My sleep is better, et cetera, et cetera. I wasn't as motivated to write books, so I haven't written books. The man who wrote that in a book said he went back to coffee because he couldn't write books either. You need a lot of motivation to write a book, and caffeine is a drug that most writers are pumped up on some drug. It takes a lot to do it. Anyway, so recently I decided I was going to have green tea, because green tea has all these health benefits and very little caffeine. But when I took it, my brain, I could just actually hear another person in my brain going, caffeine. I mean, literally, it was so pronounced. My brain was just, yes, come home to me. Okay, so that's the addiction. So what happens when a man, when he has sex with a stranger, when he has sex with your computer, when he has sex with himself and not his partner, his body will make different hormones. Now, when he has sex with a woman he's committed to, and it only happens in marriage, where a man is committed to a woman, they love each other. They may hate each other some days, but when they're having sex, they're both enjoying it. So he's just a man who's committed to his wife. When he has sex with her, after sex, his body produces a hormone called prolactin. Now, prolactin inhibits addiction. Prolactin also inhibits sex drive. That's why committed men usually aren't having sex with their wives anymore. They don't even care about having sex so much. But then suddenly they see pornography, and now the addiction comes back. But now, does commitment mean you'll never have a lifetime of sex? No, it doesn't have to mean that. It's what's happening today. Because if you're a married man, you're making prolactin. And since we know married people live longer and are healthy, some people talk it the anti-aging hormone, which is prolactin, to be able to find someone, be committed to them with all your heart. And this is for men. This is the research is on men. Then what happens is his interest in sex goes away, but he has this hormone. He can feel more love. All right, so that's one thing. But historically, men were committed to their wives. In many cases, they're committed to their wives. They made that commitment. So they're making prolactin, but they don't lose their sex drive because their culture was smart enough to say, men, you go into the jungle. Women, you can't go into the jungle. Women, you do gardening, and men, you can't do gardening. Get out of the garden. Men aren't allowed in the garden when I was in a jungle society. And men, you don't cook the food. We cook the food. And men, you don't take care of the children. These are our children. We take care of the children. You protect me to take care of the children. So that was culture. That's a little bits of that are all around in cultures around the world. There are a couple, we're talking millions of people around the world throughout history. There's always exceptions you can find. I love how the feminists will talk about the Amazon women. Yes, they're at war all the time. What society is healthy that's at war all the time? And that's not, I don't even say look at the past. I'm saying look at the science of our bodies now and like use it to our advantage, because historically we had this support, but unfortunately there are psychopaths. When you're a male and you grow up with an unhappy woman, an unhappy mother, or a bad father, and then you can't have a happy mother, there's a potential to create a psychopath. A psychopath, it becomes a politician. So there are books written about this, that most presidents in America were all psychopaths. You have to be, to a certain extent, to be able to not to have half the people hate you and half the people love you. Okay, so I don't want that job, although I'm somewhat in that job, but half the people do hate me, at least at the universities, I'll put it that way. So the dynamic is you get when a man doesn't have estrogen, then he only has testosterone, then he has no compassion and empathy, he just thinks about himself. That would be a real narcissist. What women call the narcissistic man is just a man who hasn't learned how to love. That's all it is. And all it takes is a woman who asks for support to bring out the loving part of him. And that's a whole issue I have, which is teaching women how to ask for what they need in a way that's not complaining. When if you step on my foot, I have to let you know, please don't step on my foot. But when you do it 3 times in a row, then a woman will basically say, you stepped on my foot again. You always step on my foot. Well, that's only going to create distress in the relationship. That's called complaining. That's one version of complaint. Another one is he forgets to do something. You never do it. You don't do it. You forgot again. I'll just do it myself. That's the problem. You go into resentfulness, which is not loving, and you're not being loving. And women should apologize when they feel resentful because you're not being loving. Just like if I'm mean, I should apologize for being mean. If a woman's walking around with resentment, she has no accountability for it because she goes, well, anybody would be resentful if you did all the good things I do and he treated you this way. But still, you can blame him all you want, but you have to look at yourself. You're part of the problem too. So you look at, and they don't know. I have to let her off the hook. It's not like I'm saying, oh, you're so bad. No, you're so ignorant. You don't know what you're doing that's making the relationship worse. And if you're resentful, you can't let go of your resentment because you don't understand how you created it, how you brought out the worst in him, how you set it up. And even to give more, women will feel neglected by their partners and then try to be more loving, giving. And then you burn out and then you resent him. And then you say, well, yeah, look at all the good things I've done. He hasn't done anything for me. Well, men are completely different. If you're giving stuff to him, he assumes he's doing enough. You're constantly telling him, while he's ignoring you, you're doing enough. You're doing enough. So how do you get him to do more? How do you let him be himself in your presence is don't push him down by just being an adult, mature person who hasn't been taught, unfortunately, how to ask for help. Honey, I need more attention. Hey, would you spend 10 minutes with me and give me a foot massage? Would you give me hugs every time you see me? There's so many biohacks that I can teach women, and my books teach women how to keep their estrogen levels up so that eventually you will be in a place where you want to have sex as much as him and you'll enjoy it more than him. Oh my gosh, you should enjoy sex. The whole pleasure in sex should be the woman, and the man gets to experience your pleasure.
I want to come to a part you mentioned before when we spoke about this in different contexts. There's something about the secrecy, isn't it? There's something about the hiddenness that uplifts men's hormones a lot, isn't it? That the fact that it's secret, that it's behind somebody's awareness. Can you speak about this, and what are the hormones really that are produced here?
Okay, it's not just men, it's also women. It has the same effect. This is where men and women will react pretty much the same, which is anytime you do a taboo, anything which is taboo by society, is you want to hide from society. Otherwise, you will feel rejected. So when you do something secret, it's because part of you is feeling that if other people knew, then I would not get love and support. I would be in danger. Well, what is the main thing that produces dopamine is danger. So just doing something dangerous produces dopamine. Now, what dopamine does, dopamine is not just danger, but it's also newness. But there's newness, and that's also an affair. Someone new and different is going to produce dopamine. Now add to it that it's taboo and you don't want anybody to know about it. That means it's more dangerous. It's not like, oh, let me tell everybody. It's dangerous. Danger produces dopamine. Now, what does dopamine do? Dopamine for a man raises testosterone always. Dopamine for a woman doesn't always raise estrogen, but if she feels safe, meaning that she can keep it secret, okay? If she feels she can keep it secret, or in the beginning of a relationship, she believes this man can give me what I need, so she feels safe, then the newness produces huge amount of estrogen, okay? It's a drug. That dopamine gives men testosterone, estrogen, more than they've ever felt before. It's like a drug. I mean, it just takes you over when you're having a secret affair and it's all new and different and you've got sex with the whole thing. It's powerful, but it's a powerful drug and it inhibits your ability to make prolactin. Just to know, there's prolactin, which is no addiction at all, no intensity at all. The intensity comes, which is what I teach couples, why I, at 72 years old, had the best sex life of any of my friends and anybody I know, because my understanding of enlightened sexuality and the skills that I've developed over the years allow my wife to be multi-orgasmic almost every day. Okay. And not because I'm pushing it on her. She wants to be with me. Why? Because her estrogen is so high. I know all of the biohacks throughout the day, just like driving. Okay. There's so many, but another one would be when I'm driving in the car. Anytime she feels I'm driving too fast or in a way that doesn't make her feel safe, she just grabs the handle and I immediately stop what I'm doing, so to speak. I know it means slow down or adjust my driving in a way that will make her feel safe and produce the hormone oxytocin. And then I put my hand on her thigh and I said, I did that for you. And she says, I know, and I so much appreciate it. See, it's not like she says, slow down. That's not romantic at all. That's pushing down my testosterone. Who are you to tell me how to drive? I'm a much better driver than you. And that's true in our situation. So she has no right to tell me how to drive. But if she says she doesn't feel safe, then I am happy to adjust my driving skill for her. And she knows that. She knows he's doing this as a gift to me. And ironically, sometimes she wants me to go fast. If we're late, she'll brag, oh, John can get there faster than anybody. He's the most amazing driver. But then when we're not in a hurry, she wants to feel relaxed. And of course, when is the time you can make the most estrogen for a woman is when she's sitting in the seat next to you, driving in a dangerous vehicle. Anything could happen. Her body knows that. Maybe we don't think it all the time. Her body knows she's in danger. And she's got a man who knows how to drive in a way that makes her feel safe and secure. So that's foreplay. How many women do you see driving men? Do you think those women want to have sex? Do you think that man wants to have sex with her? Women should not be driving men. Men should be driving women. And then there's always exceptions. Maybe he can't drive. Well, that's okay. Maybe they're going on a long trip, so they just take turns. Just don't expect that to be foreplay. You'll be exhausted when you get there, but you'll recover. So, but as a bottom line, it's just, these are simple things. If a man's angry, don't talk. Because if you're angry and you talk, a word comes out of your mouth when you're feeling angry or sad or upset, what's going to happen is your estrogen is just going to go higher and higher. Get her to talk. So many times when a man is already suffering a little bit from his work, he's worried, he's a little stressed, and a woman says, oh, what is it? What is it? He'll say, it's nothing. That's when he used to be a man. Now he'll say, oh, I'm bothered about this and bothered about this. And she'll go, oh, I can be a therapist. What else? Tell me, I want to support you. The more he talks when he's distressed, the more his stress will go up. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. And when you're having arguments, as soon as he's starting to feel annoyance and irritated and pushing his ideas on her, stop talking, take a time out. Yeah, otherwise, you're just going to shut her down, knock down the estrogen, because she can't make estrogen. This is another biological reality if she doesn't feel safe. Safety is the hormone oxytocin. So, you know,
can I ask something else?
Go ahead.
Because very, very recently, I listened to an interview of a journalist, a German interview, and it's a journalist who went undercover as a prostitute for 1 year and gained all sorts of knowledge about meeting men in that environment. And she was saying that most men she met had an incredible desire to speak, yes, really to talk about. So what is the talk you have with a prostitute different to the talk you would have, a pillow talk you would with your wife? Why is that different?
Okay, what's going on? First of all, men are not in touch with their need to talk and share. That's their feeling side. Now, men who want to talk and share with their wives, if their wives are not naked and turned on to him, or at least appearing to be willing to have sex with them, then his testosterone drops. So if I go to a prostitute and I know she's going to get naked with me and she's going to be happy with me because I'm paying her, okay, what that does, that frees me to connect with my female side. A woman, I'm connecting with a naked woman, all right? So she's naked and she's willing to have sex with me. See, people don't understand what a boost of testosterone is for a man when a woman is somewhat naked and willing to have sex with you. So what that means is his female side is going up, but his masculine side is also there. He's earned it. And she's not rejecting him in any way. He can talk about he has problems in his life, and the prostitute's not going to feel like threatened. Oh, my husband, he's got this new plan to invest in a company, and I don't know about that company. Because so many times when a man talks about something, women, because they're dependent on a man, when it's your wife and you're depending on him. And this happened in my marriage until I learned just not to talk about this stuff. And that was, I have this new idea I'm going to teach. Okay. And I explain it to her. And she said, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. People would think this. And the more famous I became, oh, you don't want to lose your reputation. Oh, you can't say that. How can you say that? I'm like, I say that to a prostitute. She's going to go, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, that's a far out idea. You know, I can say whatever I want to you. Well, that's interesting. Your livelihood, your lifestyle, everything is not dependent on what I say. But your wife, she is. So that's what causes her to interfere with, you shouldn't do that. You know, one of the things, another hack, which is every time I wanted to make an investment, I said, you know, honey, I'm thinking about making an investment with these people. Now, I haven't decided yet, but I have checked with our lawyer. And our lawyer says it's a really good thing. And I talked to our accountant, and he said, this is a great idea. So I just want to let you know I've already checked. And if you'd like to hear more details, I'm happy to tell you. All she needs to know is the lawyer and the accountant approve of it. Okay, that's in our relationship. Okay, now, prior to that, I would say, I'm thinking about doing this. Her first thing is, have you talked to a lawyer? Have you talked to an accountant? You don't know anything about that. You know, I'm a huge expert, but I don't know anything about that, although I happen to know quite a bit in some cases, not in all cases. So she says, have you talked to the lawyer? When she says, have you talked to the lawyer? I felt insulted because so much of the time, at least our tax attorney, I know more than he knows. I've studied this. So she says, have you talked to whatever his name is, have you talked to him? And each time I would feel insulted. So rather than have her natural reaction, I don't want to control her that way. I just said, oh, honey, I've talked to so-and-so, and he says it's a good idea, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And then she feels relaxed because I talked to somebody she trusts about taxes more than she trusts me. So it was a fix. It solved that problem. All I had to do is, I want to do this, and I've talked to so-and-so. Okay, good, go do that, you know. This is understanding logic. Or I could be this uneducated man when it comes to women. And I say, you shouldn't say that to me. I feel offended. It's like you don't trust my ability to invest, blah, blah, blah. You know, why I take things personally, find a workaround which is respectful of her and respectful of him, what he can do, what he can say, what she can say. People don't have this knowledge. And women don't even know how to communicate what they're feeling inside. All they go is some sort of general discontent with him, and you shouldn't do this, and why did you do that? And I can't believe you did. That doesn't work at all. That's a whole nother hour introduction to how to communicate your feelings to a man. But I can shortly say, if you're going to talk about uncomfortable feelings, anything that has a negative tinge to it, unhappiness, anytime you have discontent and you want to talk about it, if you want a man to listen, make sure what your discontent is about is somebody other than your husband. Because anytime you're feeling unhappy and you talk to your husband and he's the source of your unhappiness, if he interprets it that way, maybe you're not even thinking that, but you have to be aware, is he going to take that personally, like he has failed you? If he feels he's failed you, he can't hear you. He's no longer in the prefrontal cortex of his brain. He's just had a knock. He's just been dismissed. I was just counseling somebody today, and, you know, they broke up. I was explaining they don't really have to break up. They can do a timeout for a while. But she was feeling really, really stressed. And she said, you know, I feel like maybe we should just be friends. So she's doing a breakup, right? Maybe we should. And she's under so much stress. She doesn't know what she needs. I mean, she's being harassed and attacked by lawyers and, a very stressful situation. So you can't feel heartfelt openness. So she said, I think best we feel friends, because she didn't want to have sex with him because she didn't have any sex energy. You can't have sex energy if you're fighting a battle. You're not going to have sex energy if you're a woman. Ironically, let's look at how men and women are different. If I'm fighting a battle, I can have sex right away. Okay. If I'm in there fighting, when the soldiers come back from battle, the first thing they want is sex. Okay. Now, if a woman's fighting a battle, the last thing she wants is sex. And 99% of all women who've been in combat come back and get a divorce, and they're not interested in sex. It's just not there. You can't make female hormones in combat. I just saw the Secret Service protecting the president, putting women there. First of all, they weren't even big enough to borrow his body. They could be working somewhere else. And who is it? The head of the FBI. I don't know if people know this. There's a guy on top of a roof, and the woman says, oh, we don't want our agents to be on top of the roof because it's a hot roof. Give me a fucking break. Excuse me for the language. But this is a woman. She doesn't understand danger the way men do. She doesn't understand that if I'm an FBI agent, I don't mind a hot roof. I'm saving the president. It's not about my comfort. It's not about me. And now we have HR and all about me, about me. I'm all for that. But what should happen in HR for companies is beyond HR, they need to have coaches for women so women can go and complain to somebody who's not going to do anything about it. See, women need to complain. If they're stressed, they have to express those feelings, which are easily heard as complaint because she didn't know another way to express them. So it will come out as complaint. So women's brains, when they're stressed, all it does is complain. Now that's good. We need to know what's not working. No problem with that. But also you need to complain sometimes just to come back to being reasonable, empathetic, facing reality, dealing with situations. And every woman that comes to my office, I help them express their emotions. They realize their problems are not so big. It's always, I feel angry about this. I'm sad about this. I'm afraid of this. I feel bad about this. What I really, really want is this. And I realize that it's not as bad as I think. I understand why this is going on. I understand why this is going on. This is called reality. And I realize I'm a part of the problem and this is how I can solve it. And some things you just have to accept, but you do it in a positive state. This is real therapy. This is not me just listening to somebody complain and go, oh yeah, poor you, poor you, poor you.
Isn't it that women are really far too hard on themselves? We women are really hard on us, and we think we have to be perfect in facing a man and being loved and liked by him. It's actually quite simple, isn't it? We are very simple creatures if we do it naturally.
Women are very complicated. There's no question about it. And men are simple. But you may think complicated trying to understand women. I simply understand women because they're so complicated, and I understand every day their hormones are changing. I understand why their moods will change. I understand what needs to go on inside of them. Men don't have all that going on, but men are starting to have that go on as we feminize men. And anytime a man is violent, what hormones are occurring in his body? Low testosterone and high estrogen. It's my job to keep my testosterone levels high. And then it's my job to help my wife become happier, and my testosterone will only go to the heights. Men's testosterone cannot hit the bell, cannot go to the heights unless they're providing for someone they're committed to and in love with. And the evidence of that is prolactin. Other men have no prolactin. They're more sick. They have addictions. They have problems. The solution is marriage. And then the solution to the world's problems is nonviolent relationships with happy children who won't vote for people who want to create wars. Because right now we have psychopaths.
Can I ask you, do men need to ejaculate in order to produce prolactin, or is it actually through the whole?
A man can ejaculate if he's committed to a woman, and he will make prolactin. There's no problem there. As long as he's ejaculating with a woman who he's committed to, she loves him, he loves her, there's no loss of testosterone as long as he doesn't do it too much. Okay, so there is a factor of too much sex that can lower your testosterone. Also, not enough sex will lower your testosterone. And so what happens is often a man's wife is not as interested in sex. And he says, how can I want to have sex? The more aware I am as a conscious man, do I want to have sex with my wife if she doesn't want to have sex with me? No. That's how enlightened men are today. Women think, oh, men are so unenlightened. Are you kidding? You look at men in the past, they didn't care whether you want to have sex with them. They wanted to have sex. And women just as well. They didn't say, wait, I only want to have sex if I want to have sex. They said, okay, I'll do it for my husband. But that was the culture taught them that. now what the culture is talking about. I was just helping somebody's sex life just the other day, and his mind was blown. His sex therapist told him to watch pornography. His sex therapist told him when he's having sex with his wife to fantasize about the women he wants to have sex with. That's the stupidest advice ever. How can a woman's estrogen go up when a man's affection and warmth and attention is somewhere else? And then a man will say, but I need that in order to get my erection. That's because what you need is high dopamine to produce your erection. Because whenever you have impersonal sex for a man, that's why Ashley Madison, just having a woman, you don't care about her, you don't know anything about her, there's no commitment to her, it's a one-night stand. Any man who's impotent, that will give him erection. And women, it's hard for women to understand this. You're not that way. But for a man, impersonal can give you a temporary surge of testosterone. If you have commitment, you don't get that free dopamine rush. But what you can do is compensate or balance the healthiness of not an addictive personality, addictive life where you're dependent on this high peak. Instead, you have a polarity where she is more feminine and he's more masculine. Then there's a magnetic pull. And you don't feel it like, it's like, I don't feel it all the time. Like if I was a horny young guy, all it takes is I get into bed and I'm with my partner and I hug her and she wakes up and then I wake up. My affection raises her estrogen because it's already at a high level. And as soon as her vagina talks to my penis, basically, my penis even knows whatever. I said, oh, something happening down south? She says, well, yes. I said, I know. Because it's the connection of male. She's more feminine. I will become more masculine. And what that means, if I'm more masculine, she'll become more feminine. So a man might say, oh, I really want sex all the time. That's so masculine. No, that's an addiction. That's an addiction to sex. If you don't have addiction to ejaculation, that's part of what sex is. If you don't have that addiction, then you're patient. Then you're not in a hurry. Then you don't rush. Then you don't get more turned on than her. See, I can't get more turned on than her, but I know what I have to do is all of these biohacks outside, and I haven't even touched on them. I just say a few. It's not like giving hugs 4 times a day, driving your wife around like this, not being angry. That's not enough. That's just 3 points. There's so many things we have to do today that my father didn't have to do. Why? Because my mother was dependent on my father for money and for security and for safety. He was the policeman in the house. She had 7 children. So all she had to do was manage those kids. If you don't listen to me, I'm going to tell your father. Boop, we was listen right away. Because if we had to go to our father's room when he came home from work, he'd pull out the belt and whip you. That's what was done in Texas. We go, oh, that's so terrible. No, it's not so terrible. We were all fine with it and made us not want to go do it. There is a better way to parent, without a doubt. But it wasn't so bad. It's basically all they could do back in those days because they didn't have the skills that we have now. We have the skills if you use them, but parents just didn't know it. So that was a deterrent for kids. So what my mother had was a policeman at home, a protector of the house. He was there always. He'd go to work, come home. He was also never got angry with her. And part of why he never got angry with her is she never asked or demanded for more. She was never resentful because what she needed most was a guy with a job who could provide safety and security for her. And that was enough for her so that she could fulfill the biological needs of her body, which is to love him, have sex with him, but more importantly, take care of her children, create a beautiful home, do what the women do in all the Amazon cultures, is the feminine things, the men do the male things. And yes, we can say we're beyond that. And yes, we are beyond that. But we have a higher consciousness, which for men is capable of going to their female side. And for women is capable of going to their male side. We have a culture that supports that, but a culture that's ignorant of the importance of women being married to come back to their female side. And a culture that is completely ignorant of men's importance of practicing monogamy with their wife. There's even books talking about monogamy is not natural for men. Yeah, no, that's not true. I'm just giving you the biology of it. If you fall in love with a woman and you commit to be with her, when a woman should not have sex with you, at least in those days, if you're not committed, because she could get pregnant. So why would a woman want to have sex with somebody once she learned that I could get a baby from this guy and have to raise it myself? So a wise woman, there were wise women, some were foolish, but the wise women say, I'm not having sex with you. Now today you have birth control, so you can say, I'll have sex with you. But even still, you should go slow with that, because if you're too easy, Men don't bond. Men bond when they have to respect you, not you respecting him. To respect someone is to give him what they want. If you give him what he wants, you're respecting him. And that's the problem. Men have to learn how to respect a woman, and they're not good at it. We have no role models for it.
Can I come to something completely different? But I think it's very contextual today. Years ago, my ex-husband and I, we practiced Carissa. Do you know Carissa? Have you heard about
Yes, I did it with my wife, Bonnie. I do my own version now, but I like that one.
So can you speak about this? Because it was very fascinating. It was during the time I had my ovarian cancer, and it was a very beautiful way for us to keep my energy levels balanced but then there came the point where that orgasmic really release was missing. So how do you balance that? Because in Carissa, in just really bonding with.
Why don't you describe to people, and we're talking about a different language for people, briefly mention what you did.
Okay, so the way I have been introduced is that it's a methodology which you also call slow sex, and that you focus more on the sensory cues like the eye contact, the touch, gentle. And when you come together, you actually put your genitals just close to one another. You're not penetrating as a man. You just hold contact and just stay there for whatever, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it creates all sorts of incredible rushes in your body without you forcing to orgasm. That's how.
The first time we did it, we did 20 minutes, and then Bonnie had an orgasm.
That's right. That's the crazy part about it, isn't it? Yeah. That's what I experienced too.
And because she had an orgasm, my need to ejaculate was much less. Okay, it was much less and didn't need to. Although my training was, I still would ejaculate. Actually, I can't remember. That was so long ago, whether I ejaculated or not. I've tried so many different things. What I do today is that's better than the kind of sex people have today if they can enjoy that. But you were missing something. What a woman needs, this can be taken out of context, but when her estrogen levels go really high, then what a woman needs is a fully erect penis penetrating her and arousing her to higher and higher levels of orgasmic pleasure. And this is all mapped out.
It's a different orgasm, isn't it, altogether? Yes, it's not just the
Yes, it's a completely different orgasm. It's certainly the one that she had with Carissa was healthier than the clitoral orgasm. See, the clitoral orgasm should be a small release. Okay, that's it, just a small release. Then the big release should be the orgasm with the penis and penetrating the vagina. But a lot of women, they don't understand this. They're not taught this. So they start to feel the pleasure. The clitoris makes testosterone. It doesn't make estrogen. The breasts and the kissing, that makes all the estrogen. And then you want to balance the estrogen with the testosterone, which is the clitoral stimulation. At a certain point, the clitoris, the pleasure of it will start to lessen. When it starts to lessen, that's the time to start penetration. But what happens is without education, because there's a subtlety, the pleasure of the clitoris will start to rise, and then it will start to drop, and that's where women will bear down. That's when they want to intensify. So you can see it in all the porn videos, and I've been with women, harder, harder, go, go, go. And like they're trying to have that climax, that means they're not into estrogen. Trying is not estrogen. Trying is testosterone. Intensifying. So you don't intensify. What you do is you allow the waves of pleasure to increase, and then it becomes
like a valley. I call it valleying. And it's actually quite fascinating because you produce a very, very different type of final orgasm when you actually go quietly through the stages.
When you go up and down, you just become aware. See, women have to become aware of that tendency to want to intensify. Men have to become aware of their tendency to intensify. Now, I know I'm intensifying if I measure my pleasure level from 1 to 10. 10 is going to be the spasm of ejaculation. Around 7, the pleasure will be rising, rising. Then I'll just relax and feel love, and I'll express more love. The point of enlightened sexuality, which was the name of our interview, is biologically, you're not doing it with toys and everything to increase pleasure. You're increasing pleasure through some touching, the normal kind of touching and sex. You don't need all these extra toys and stimulators and vibrators. That's just robots. That's just somebody else doing it. This is skin touching, and that gives pleasure. when you're feeling pleasure, particularly for a man, when a man feels pleasure, he feels more. Our lack of estrogen inhibits us from feeling more. So estrogen starts to rise as the interaction starts happening. We start to feel pleasure. And now when we feel pleasure, we can access and feel the love in our hearts more. And then there's exercises scripts that I use to help people express that love in meaningful ways. Because when a man can express that love, his love will increase. And when a man's love increases, it automatically raises a woman's estrogen to take her to higher, more levels of ecstasy. So this conversation is a big part of it. And then lots of noises is a part of it. If you got kids around, you can't make all the noises. I have 3 acres. Otherwise, the police will be coming to my house every night. I'm torturing my wife, they would think. And I'm making the noises sometimes more, but only because she's making more noises. If a guy is like more into it than a woman, she's left out. He always has to be matching her energy or be less than her energy. And that's one of the secrets of enlightened sexuality. So enlightened sexuality is not for the purpose of high levels of pleasure, although that will happen. It's for the point of feeling and expressing more love. And so I'm not into just getting close and hugging, whatever. But what we do is we do get close every night. We do some hugging and cuddling, and it always turns into a very exciting, ecstatic sex. And that's possible if a man has prolactin, so he's not addicted to ejaculation. That frees you over time, so you don't have to ejaculate. Then your body doesn't need to. So I'm not about semen retention, where you practice these exercises to hold back. There's no holding back. At 7, I just start relaxing and expressing my love, and then doing all the movements. And there's a lot to it. It's taken me 50 years to really refine my ability to teach men how to do this, to teach women how to do this. It's not something you can learn in an hour. It takes time to learn.
So I would like to stay with the enlightened sex now, because our last interview was all about sex and spirit, and we talked a lot about enlightened sex, and I was particularly keen in finding out about the whole karmic and more soulful aspects of that. And what I like about our interview so much is the spiritual connection, and always bringing it back to that more subtle level. So when we talk about Ashley Madison and unfaithfulness and infidelity, what is the karmic implication of all this really? Is there something that is to be considered? Do you think that we create karma outside the marriage that is harder to work through over time? What's your whole philosophy about that?
Well,
because I know you're very keen.
When a man or a woman has an affair, in 90% of the cases, my work is to help them forgive each other and have a good sex life. Just to understand they're both part of the problem. It's not just him, not just her. They're both part of the problem. And that's with understanding, with realization. It usually, it can hurt men just as much, or maybe not just as much, but with logic, I can help men get through it much faster. For women, I have to help process their feelings in present time. Then I have to link that to feelings in the past, because nothing happens overnight. When my father died, I went to the funeral. There was a girl there who looked just like my sister. I said, "Oh, how do you know my father?" She lived in a town three hours away. And my time is running out. I have another interview, so I'm going to finish after this story. But this is like I had another sister. Clearly, my dad had sex with another woman. He had a child. And I said, "Well, how do you know my dad?" "Oh, your dad was always so nice to my mom and to me. He bought me a car. He helped me. He paid for my college. He was always there for us. He was just a wonderful man." So I went to my mom. I said, "Mom, I think we have another relative here, another sister," and I told her what she said. And my mother goes, I've always thought that your father had other responsibilities as well." And I said, "Well, did that upset you? Did that hurt you? Or does that destroy your relationship?" "No." She said, "We're a different generation. In my generation, if a man is responsible to his family," and then parentheses, "and the wife no longer wants to have sex and he has needs, it's perfectly okay for him to fulfill his needs outside the marriage, as long as he doesn't embarrass, as long as he's responsible for his family." And that's a European tradition of well-to-do men would have a mistress. Why? Because they didn't know how to keep the estrogen levels up in their wives so their wives would want to enjoy sex for a lifetime. Every woman over 40 knows and menopause hits, sex is not able to enjoy it like they could before. And their husband, if they love him, know that he really needs sex. Sex is what makes me feel like a superman. It also allows me to love her more. It also, because I'm completely monogamous, it allows me to produce so much prolactin that keeps me healthy and vital. So all those factors, they don't know all that, but the woman just simply loves her husband and he wants sex and I don't want to be rejecting him. So just don't let me know. I don't want to have to face all the jealousy I'd feel, whatever. So my mother said, I've always known your father had other responsibilities. And what I know to be the case is he has the family in Austin, which is 3 hours away, and he would fly to Canada every week for 3 days. So I'm sure he has another family up in Canada. And that was fine for my mother. She wasn't this needy woman who needed him home all the time because when I was married to Bonnie before she passed, I was always every week I left for 3 days, or at least three weeks a month. I would be gone for 9 days, and she had no problem with it. And it's good for a relationship if you can swing it, where a guy has a few days away, but as long as he's not having sex. If he's having sex, that dampens his ability to be present for his wife, because now your brain is going to be addicted to that. You're not making enough prolactin. Prolactin is this magic hormone. We're just learning about it. I've actually introduced it to the world, and now there's research about it. It's the longevity hormone. It's amazing, and it frees you from addictions. So like right now, I'm fasting. I'm not addicted to food. I know it's good for my health. So I can easily fast without any feeling of loss. I don't have to eat. Now, after a while, my body says you have to eat, but you can always go 1 or 2 days without eating. Easy. So easy peasy, as long as you don't have addictions. I don't have an addiction to anger. So I don't have to speak out when I'm angry or something. I can be angry and I feel frustrated and I let it go. I don't have to hold on to it. I don't have to justify, oh, I feel so hurt. How could you do this? And well, I'm so sorry. Oh, you can't take back your words now. This is all nonsense. We're all like little children today, and worse, because we had dysfunctional parents and we live in a dysfunctional society that creates war. That's what we have to keep remembering. You can't tell me anything about the past as being a role model for me, because that whole past is killing people. This is not accessing our soulful nature. Now, some people have done that. Unfortunately, they're just celibates who don't have marriage. So you get most of your holy people are not having sex. What we need is holy people are having sex and they're making money and they have responsibilities and they face life's challenges. It's easy. I was a monk for 9 years, pure celibate, and helped me tremendously to find my true self. But then you go out into the world and make a difference and have a family and raise children and self-civilization and continue on in that way. We have so much.
Why then all this judgment? I mean, men
because we're insecure. We're insecure. We have a big thing.
30, 40 years ago, you had to pay a massive amount of money if you cheated on your wife and she has a divorce.
It's insanity. It's insanity. What did they charge Donald Trump? $78 million, because he said I didn't cheat on this. Yeah, this is like insanity. This is crazy. We've become a crazy society. We're a bunch of victims, and you're never going to succeed in marriage if you walk around feeling like you're a victim. But I do have to run on now, so I have another interview I'm supposed to do.
Thank you so much. So thanks for your time. And one last sentence to inspire men and women to not cheat.
Oh, well, what we need is, I have a book called Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. If there's an inspiration to cheat, the real inspiration to cheat is you're addicted to sex. One is you're not getting healthy sex with your partner. You're not committed to her. If you commit to her, even a few years of just commitment, takes willpower, commitment. Don't look at porn. Don't look at magazines or anything. Just indulge in being committed and create polarity in your relationship, and you will continue to feel that attraction. So as the prolactin increases, you don't even think about other people that couldn't even entice you, but you have all this attraction to your partner. And with the right biohacks, which are available, okay, it is available. It's right here in this book. What men can do to raise women's estrogen, what women can do to raise men's testosterone. That's what keeps people sexually attracted to each other, frees them from the distractions, have children, and be responsible parents who love each other and be a gift to society, and let your generation go on and be happy, fulfilled.
Which book is describing prolactin? Can you remember where you wrote about it?
Prolactin is written about in this book. When I wrote this book, prolactin, one of the first books to write about it in terms of relationship, the first book. Now research has been done. So many of my ideas, they've done research on them. I'm the well, I don't want to brag about myself, but anyway, prolactin now I've seen, because I'm thinking about another book, so I have to go and look at the research, and oh, there's research on prolactin, there's research on estrogen, more research on the things that I was talking about 15 years ago. So this is great. This is good.
So this is your book, Beyond Mars Venus, and that
Yeah,
came out around 4 years ago. Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. John, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. As always, I learned so much more, and our listeners hopefully too. So thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.